Caitlin's still getting back into the rhythm of things. She hasn't played many games over the last couple seasons. Just is what it is. The W is not a long league, and right now she hasn't played as many games as a lot of the other players. She's still working her way back into rhythm. But as Caitlin was in her first year, a second half kind of player, I think as we get to the second half of the season, we're going to see why Caitlin Clark's name is Caitlin Clark. Welcome into Splash, where we get to talk about Caitlin Clark with a massive shot to win the game for the Fever over the Mystics. Amazing play from Jackie Young, Asia Wilson, Breanna Stewart, and much more, and previewing one of the games of this young season. We get to talk about all of that here on Splash with your host, Keenan Warner. Guys, again, it's been a very exciting weekend of basketball. Obviously, the NBA Finals is going on, and I'm locked into that. But also being locked into that, I am locked into all of these WNBA games that have been going on. And starting with the big game of the night last night, the Fever win 78-76. Every time the Fever and the Mystics seem to play, it's fireworks. And Caitlin, 19 points, 4 threes, 5 assists. Obviously, she had the massive shot for the win, which was very reminiscent of the shot she had to bring it to overtime when they played in Indiana, and then Citron almost hit the shot, but it was after, and then the Mystics end up winning in overtime. But the Fever do get their get back on this game due to the heroics of Caitlin Clark. They got up as much as 14 at one point, and then the Mystics clawed back even without Kiki Iriafin. It's because the Mystics are a tough team. They were a team that I was speaking on before the year. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs because of how deep the league is, but overall, they're a team that is so talented, and they have a lot of young assets who are hungry, aggressive, and ready to play, that if you sleep on this team at all, they can go get you with an L. So the Fever were able to play well overall today. They did have some moments where they were up and down, but defensively is where they definitely hung their hat more so today than in games past. They did turn the ball over 20 times. They shot fine-ish from the free throw line, 71%, but they didn't get there as much. 10 of 29 from 3 for 34%. The Mystics were shooting well from 3. Early on in that game, it was forcing turnovers. It was good rotations. It was forcing the Mystics into only one-shot possessions. Second half, you got a couple more offensive rebounds. The ball was moving a little bit more. The Mystics played with some pace, and when they did that, it was more difficult for the Fever to defend. But overall, I thought that the Fever played pretty well, and then obviously the Mystics played well enough to win the game because if Caitlin misses that shot, they most likely do win the game there. But Caitlin, 7 of 16, 4 of 10 from 3. She got rolling early, and then she picked up her third foul early or mid-second quarter. She didn't get another one for the rest of the game, but foul trouble for her has been something that is to key in on. I think over her last 6 games, it's been averaging about 4.5 fouls per game over that stretch. Something she needs to work with because she can't. It's hard for her right now because she can't get herself into a rhythm. And when she can't get herself into a rhythm, that is when things are getting more difficult for her. But overall, she played well. Kelsey Mitchell, obviously the model of consistency offensively for this team, and I really liked the defense she was playing on Sonia Citron. She was stuck to her like glue all around the court. Didn't matter if it was off of a screen, because what the Mystics love to do is kind of have the ball in Georgia Amor's hands or a ball handler's hands, run Citron off a pin down as they do another action on the other side. So they're getting the ball because they trust Shakira, they trust Kiki when she's healthy, even trust Lauren Betts to make a decision with the ball in their hands. And then Citron works off of that, and if not, they can kind of exploit their matchup one-on-one, more so Kiki and Shakira rather than Lauren in that situation. But overall, I think that Kelsey defended Sonya very well. Aaliyah Boston, 14 in 10. She had 5 fouls. The fouls are what could do Indiana in later and later into the season. It's something that they have to work on. Defend without fouling, or playing offense without a hook or without an illegal screen. Obviously, the people are still understanding how to play in this new W with the new refs and such. But the Fever, that's something that they need to get better and need to work on. Lexi Hull was huge down the stretch, 5 points in the fourth. Sophie Cunningham made plays when you have to. Obviously, they have her in late game, and she makes really good decisions with the ball late. She had the nice pass to Caitlin, who obviously hit the shot. But overall, the Indiana Fever, they played well. They got the W. They held Citron in check last time. She had over 30 or had 30 or more. This time, only 12 points on 3 of 9. Georgia Amore played well, played under control. Lauren Betts off the bench played well. I like the way Dougal each plays. Cody McMahon didn't shoot well, but I liked her energy. A lot of this team, obviously Kiki, as I said earlier, went out. Shakira Austin had a tough game for her. She's been really consistent this year. 5 turnovers, 4 field goals made. But the Fever played defense today, and when they have the capabilities of being a good defensive team, an above-average defensive team. Obviously, they have Aaliyah Boston, who's going to be in the Defensive Player of the Year running every year that she is healthy and on the floor, because she's just that lethal defensively. Obviously, you've got Lexi Hull, you've got Cunningham, you've got others who can play perimeter defense. So it's, how do we lock everything in with wanting to be a push-the-pace offense team, but not limit people to exploit our matchups defensively? How can we get that done? They're still working towards it, but I think that they're going to get there by the end of the season. But again, Caitlin, obviously all the haters and all the people in the world when it comes to Caitlin Clark want to say, oh, hey, this is what she does here. She can't do this, she can do that, and everything. But as you see, when the lights shine brightest, she can make her biggest moments, her biggest shots. I understand that people want to think that, oh, she was good in college and now in the W she is mid, or people go the complete opposite way and it's, oh, she's the greatest player to ever play. Just be real with her and just be understanding in the fact that she is a transcendent player. She is a generational player. She is amazing. She has things that she needs to work on, as does every single player who was ever in the league ever. Jordan had to get stronger because obviously he was getting bullied and maligned and maliciously attacked by the Detroit Pistons, because obviously they have the Jordan rules for him. Like every single player, LeBron's had to do it, Steph's had to do it, go to the W, DT's had to get better, Sue's had to get better, Asia's had to get better, Breanna's had to get better. All players still have to get better to get to that peak, and that's what she's doing right now. She is getting better. She's still learning, and Stephanie White spoke post-game talking about this is what Caitlin does. She makes big shots. She has big moments. I think when you have a player like her, it's very easy to take her for granted. She went on talking about when players are at this stature, if they're not great all the time, you feel like it's weird because you think of them as easy, you think of it as flawless, but overall, Caitlin's still getting back into the rhythm of things. She hasn't played many games over the last couple seasons. Just is what it is. The W is not a long league, and right now she hasn't played as many games as a lot of the other players. She's still working her way back into rhythm, but as Caitlin was in her first year, a second half kind of player, I think as we get to the second half of the season, we're going to see why Caitlin Clark's name is Caitlin Clark. But overall, the Indiana Fever are fired up because they get a W based off of these two, obviously the connection at the end of the game, but overall a nice team effort to get a win over a Mystics team. We move on to the Aces. The Las Vegas Aces get you a win against the Seattle Storm. And it's just against the Seattle Storm, and I understand that they're not the best team, but they are getting more healthy, and when they're more healthy, they are going to be a more difficult opponent as the year goes on. Asia Wilson played great, of course, because it's Asia Wilson. Congratulations to Asia Wilson, the fastest player all time to reach 6,000 points. She's going to be that at 7K and 8K and 9K and 10, and then when she's going to be the fastest player to whatever, and then the most points all time, so on and so forth. She's just going going to continue to rewrite the record books for the WNBA because she's that kind of player. 34, 12, 9, 3 with 3 threes, the queen of the game. I mean, she was just phenomenal. But I do not want to leave out her running mate, Jackie Young, who had 29, 3, and 6, shooting 53% from the floor. And we're going to deep dive on them here in just a moment. They played extremely well. I'm glad they were able to get a W in this game because they deserved it. They needed it. They're rolling right now. Malonga had 19, Fam had 16, Falaja had 13. And then when Ezi Magbagor comes back for that team, that is when that long, athletic front court is going to give people problems. But for right now, they're still young and they're still finding their way. Nalissa Smith was 6 of 6 from the floor. She had 16 points, 9 rebounds. Chelsea Gray had 12, 5, and 8 on the day. So overall, the Aces were able to put up some points and get the W here. But in talking about Jackie Young and Asia Wilson, let's get into them. Over their last 4 games, Jackie Young had that stretch where it was back-to-back zeros. She was 0 of 18, I want to say, on the floor over those 2 games. She just was not herself. I did my top 10 players around that time, and I had her at 9. And anyone who was watching the league might have been like, wait, what? But take a breath. We know what Jackie Young is, and what Jackie Young is over the last 4 games is 24, 5, and 7, shooting 53% from the floor, 55 from 3, hasn't missed a free throw, and also playing stellar on-ball defense. This is the type of player that she is. This is what she can do on a given night. She has been special over these last 4 games and reminding people why she is clearly the second best player on that team, the second most important player on that team, why you can let someone like Kelsey Plum go because you know she can take more of the onus. Obviously, that was in a trade, but still, you understand what I'm saying. And then, obviously, when you have when you have this player right here who's putting up 26 and 14 with 4 assists over her last 4 games, 3 blocks and a steal, looking like the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. And now that she has a 3-point shot, when she can shoot 3 of 5 from 3 like she did in last game, or shoot 46% overall on at least 3 attempts a game, yikes. It's going to be too difficult to defend her, because if you can't give her space because she's going to hit the shot, then what are you going to do? Because if you press up on her, she can go by you, because anybody who's going to press up on her is not going to be as stature. And then anyone who is shorter, it's a pass out, let me give it to the best passer in the league to then repost me, and I'm just going to go eat in the paint. Like, she is just too difficult. There's too many facets to her game, too strong, too athletic, too quick, with too much good touch around the basket. So I wanted to shout out them before I shout out the Liberty beating the Connecticut Sun. And these are all of yesterday's games that I'm talking about. But the Liberty over the Sun, and Breanna Stewart, huge game, 28 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. Over her last 2 games, she has been a 29 point per game scorer, because she had 30 in the game before. They didn't have many people healthy in this game. There was no John Quell. There was no, obviously, Sabrina Ionescu. Rebecca Allen didn't play in this game. But overall, shout out to Han also, who had 14. But overall, Breanna Stewart is having to basically play with a carousel of players for her team this year. There's been every single one of her teammates, it seems like, over high profile teammates, have just missed some time. So it's just been a rotating, oh, this is who I'm lining up with today. Oh, this is who I'm lining up here today. And she still has 21 points a game, looking like one of the best players in the W, which she has been since the day she walked into the W, because she's been one of the best basketball players in the world since she's turned 15. That's just really how her life has gone. Obviously, we know how great of a collegiate basketball player she was, and from there it went on. But those are the games from last night. It was a good slate of games, honestly, a fun slate of games. Let's get into what has happened in the W over the last few days, though. We'll start with Friday. We're going to go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then we're going to preview a game today before we get out of here real quick. But on Friday, since the last time I recorded, the Sky were able to get a win. Skylar Diggins had 24 in that game. Cardozo had 10. Natasha Cloud off the bench had 13. They played against a Connecticut Sun team that still has a lot of youth to them. Brittany Griner getting back into the fold. She had 16 and 8. Anissa Morrow had 17 rebounds in that game. Sanaya Rivers had 14. Overall, though, just a two teams still trying to find their way. The Sky, obviously, with Rukia Jackson being out, are trying to find themselves to get back in the fold of things, and the Sun are just trying to find some pieces and what to work for moving forward. Obviously, I think this draft will be a big draft for them, depending on who they get. Then, obviously, the game of the night here was Wings versus the Sparks. If you want to just look at some stat lines, go to this game. Jessica Shepard, 22, 15, and 5. Paige Beckers, 18 points, 14 assists. Arike Agumbawale, 30 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. AZ Fudd had 11 in this game. And then on the other end, Kelsey Plum, welcome back, Kelsey Plum. She had 27. Hamby had 15 and 5. Naneka had 13 and 10. Cam Brink off the bench with 10. Ariel Atkins was 16. A fun game that just ended in a Wings win with them playing well down the stretch. And then they can stop someone for a possession or two, and that's all they need. They know they can score with anybody, and they can be the best offense in the league when all healthy and when right. But defensively, they were able to get a couple stops here and there. And when they can get a couple stops, that is when this team can be truly elite. And they held the Sparks to 18 points in the fourth quarter, which was big for them. And then the Mercury beat the Fire in this game. It was a Dewana Bonner. She decided to throw back with 19, 5 and 5. Natasha Mack had 16. There was no AT in this game, out with a calf. There was no Kalia Copper in this game, so he thought Portland possibly could get a win here, but they did end up losing. Shout out to Sarah Ashley Barker, who had 15, 7 and 3. Somebody who I think is going to continue to get minutes for that roster. But overall, the Mercury are getting back on track. A couple wins here, and they beat the Fire without their two best players. We go on to Saturday. We've talked about how great Asia was. The Valkyries and the Aces was a really good game. Gabby Williams was making every play down the stretch, trying to make it a win for the Valkyries, but the Aces are too much too late. Jackie Young was just on fire, hitting big shot after big shot after big shot, and just a fun overall game. Veronica Burton played well. She had a couple of big plays down the stretch, but it was 27 from Jackie, 28 from Asia, who kind of did a little bit too much for the Valkyries. The Minnesota Lynx, Natasha Howard, 27. Olivia Miles, 19, 6 and 6. That just seems to be what she averages. Her stat line all the time against Seattle. Seattle did not have Dominic Malonga in full effect in this game. She came off the bench and only played 14 minutes. Off and her trying to figure things out. Obviously, Flage, we spoke on them just a little bit ago because we were talking about the Liberty game. The Dream absolutely blow out the Mystics. Citron comes back in this game after being out for a game. She has 18. Kiki has 24. But it was a collective effort. 5 Dream players over 10 points, with Okot having 11 off the bench, Howard with 19, Canada with 11, Alicia Gray with 15, Angel Reese with 18 and 17. She just balled out and had herself one of her best games of the season. And then the Liberty did beat the Fever in a close game. The Fever got up early, but then late, they did not play well down the stretch. Breanna Stewart was being Breanna Stewart and playing very well. Satu off the bench had some big shots when necessary. They played well defensively. Jonquil getting some rebounds. She had 12 in that game. Caitlin in that game was 10.7 rebounds, 9 assists. Again, this was a game she had 5 fouls and got into foul trouble early, could not catch a rhythm. Aaliyah Boston started off amazing. She ended the game a little rough. She had 13 and 9, but fourth quarter didn't have some buckets there. Kelsey Mitchell took 21 shots to get 21 points. Wasn't her most efficient night. The Fever ended up getting bested in that game. And then we go to Sunday. The Tempo beat the Sky. The Tempo have Brittany Sykes playing very well. Narail oh my god. Nara Sabali also playing very well for them. Marina Mabry didn't even have a great game, but they were still able to get the win over the Sky. Then the Sparks, Ogumake 20 and 17 over the Fire. Big game for them. Megan Gustafson on the other side had 16 and 11. Sarah Ashley Barker only had 6. Carla Late only had 10. Dearica Hamby had 22 and 12, so the bigs combined for 42 and 29. That'll get it done. And then when you get Kelsey Plum putting in 16, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, that's going to get it done as well. So that is what's been going on in the WNBA over the last few days. Obviously, we already spoke on Monday's games, and then now we're going to get into one of the biggest matchups of the day. We've got a couple other matchups on the day that are going to be fun, but this is the big one. The 7-3 Dallas Wings to head to the 9-2 Minnesota Lynx. Paige Beckers obviously has been playing well this year. Jessica Shepard has also been playing well this year. But it's really been Paige and it's been Olivia Miles have been the two stars, the two main attractions, if you will, for each of these teams. Obviously, Natasha Howard's been playing great. You have Courtney Williams playing great. You got AZ Fudd finding her way. And clearly, too, what this matchup always brings up is they took AZ Fudd over Olivia Miles. Olivia might have a little bit of like, come on now, what are we doing? Obviously, because our players always have those kind of like beating things that go beating in their chest, things that they try to make up to give themselves a little bit more fire. Not too many injuries in this game, but a few key ones for the Wings. Aaliyah Rue, game time decision, Odyssey Sims, and All Queer are both out right now, which is going to be a little bit more difficult because their depth is not going to be there. But saying, can we have more Paige, Alana, Arike, and AZ? I don't think it's going to be the worst thing in the world. It's just going to be hard because Minnesota does have depth, and we clearly know they're without Nafisa Collier still. First game was a 4-point win for the Minnesota Lynx in a very tough and fun game. Overall, these teams do compare pretty similarly. They both put up points. Defensively, the Lynx have been better this year, and they've been a little bit more of an efficient team. The Wings didn't start off great this season, but since then, they have played really good basketball, and both of these teams have played really good basketball over their last few games. We've got the Minnesota Lynx having not lost over their last 5. The only team that the Wings have lost to over the last 5 is the Dream, and the Dream are a very good team. So overall, this game is going to matter a lot because obviously we know what time it is right now. We know we're in the Commissioner's Cup, and with the Commissioner's Cup, you've got the Minnesota Lynx, who've got the best differential in the entire league, but definitely in the Western Conference, and they are 3-0. Then you've got the Wings, who are 2-0. So if the Wings can get a win here, they cut into that differential with the Lynx, plus they'll also have the head-to-head tiebreaker. So if they do go and they're both, whatever the record would be, the same record, 7-1 possibly, whatever that is, they would have the tiebreaker. So this is a massive game when it comes to that sense, especially because both of them will be seeing the aces too, to be able to best them, to try to get them out of there for that. So huge game when it comes to the Commissioner Cup. This is going to be a fun game that I'm really excited for. I know the books think the Lynx are going to win. I know people feel like the Lynx are probably going to win because they've been playing like the best team in the W. I think Paige gets her first win against the Lynx, and I think the Wings get a W here with a big Paige game. But that's just my predictions, just my thoughts. That's also my thoughts and everything on the WNBA over the weekend. It's been fun. It's been a lot of good basketball, fun basketball, always some storylines. That's the thing that the WNBA is growing and growing. There's a bunch of storylines now. Storylines matter, and people are going to be hating, and when you get to a level of hate, you know that you're doing something right. When everyone's loving it, it's like, oh my god, this is so much fun, blah blah blah. You know you're getting there, but you haven't gotten there yet. When people just hate just to try to hate, then you know you've made it. But shout out to the WNBA. It's been fun. I'll be watching tonight, but this has been Splash. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you know every single time that we upload, with that notification bell as well. Hit the like. Appreciate all of you guys, and we'll be seeing you guys again very soon.